Hello folks, today is Friday, July 14th, 2023. As usual, my name is Jake Baldino, here to talk about all the video game news that has been going on this week. A lot of spicy, interesting stuff, but let's start off with what we often do and show off some pretty graphics. Now, graphics aren't everything, but we are always just consistently amazed by how crazy the tech is getting. So we have here a look from big shout out to creator JSFILMZ. We will link their channel in the description down below. Some Unreal Engine 5.4 stuff that is absolutely insane. This is Unreal's Metahuman, and this is captured with a whole face capture helmet type of thing, and the faces are wild. Obviously, it's just a compilation of a character making goofy, weird faces over and over again, but there's so much to it, from the way the light reflects off of the lips, the wetness of the teeth, the way the lips curl, the way the frown lines and face lines react to smiles and shifting faces. There's a lot of gross stuff up close, but it helps contribute to something looking like shockingly real, like really real. JSFILMZ does a really great job breaking down how they do everything, and definitely check out the whole video because you get to see their face also in a window in real time translating over. It's very cool. There's another video we wanted to highlight of somebody essentially doing a monologue from Hamlet, and while the video is a little bit darker, it's harder to see. There are moments in this video where the facial expressions are so eerily lifelike, it's worth checking out. And this video was actually created in one business day, which is absolutely wild. So it's worth noting that we always see crazy, impressive graphical stuff, of course, but will that actually translate over to mainstream video game development? And usually it always seems like a far-off futuristic thing, but little things like this and how easily people are or not really easily, but how talented people can make this stuff quickly, the fact that was made in one business day means that we are going to see this in games, because fast equals cheap, time equals money for big corporations. So there you have it, just another glimpse into this world. Absolutely gorgeous stuff. Like I said, all of it is linked in the description down below. But of course, the other thing we gotta highlight is Microsoft's technically big win against the FTC this week.
Is this it? Is it done?
No, it's never over.
Shit.
So with this whole trial thing, there has been a verdict made. The FTC had been requesting a preliminary injunction, but with this trial, the judge has now ruled to deny that, noting from, according to IGN, that they failed to prove that the deal would be anti-competitive. And I quote from the judge, "The FTC has not identified a single document which contradicts Microsoft's publicly stated commitment to make Call of Duty available on PlayStation and Nintendo Switch." From a layman's perspective, this does seem like a pretty big victory, or at least the start of one. Now, it's worth noting that the FTC has also, of course, filed an appeal, and there are still other lawsuits in motion for things to still get slowed down or temporarily stopped. But as of right now, Microsoft and Xbox have responded that they are turning their eyes towards the UK to win specific things there, to get that all going with another 39 countries that approve this thing to really get it going. So at the very least, this thing is seeming to be more likely to go through, but of course it's still an ongoing thing. Despite this seemingly being a big win, it's going to continue to be in courts, it's going to continue to be in headlines, and we're probably going to talk about it again soon. But that's where it's at right now. Switching gears over to the other side, PlayStation, or really the parent company Sony, they're planning on spending a big chunk of change, but not just on acquisitions or anything like that like we've talked about in the past, but something a little bit more significant this time around, and it's specifically around research and development in video games. Sony is apparently planning to spend just over $2 billion in research and development for the gaming segment for the fiscal year ending in March 2024. This is a massive jump, and it's also a huge chunk of their total R&D spending. Think it's not just Sony, it's not just PlayStation. Sony has, of course, semiconductors, image tech, screens, all that stuff, but they're spending a lot in-game research specifically around extended reality, hybrid gaming, and real-world tech, and also live service stuff that we've talked about in the past that they're trying to get their way into. Now, where I hear them at least pledging to spend a bunch of money in R&D stuff on the live service stuff, maybe that can be them not just going into it like, you know, horse blinders into just making some shitty live service game and coming up with something that makes sense and that players will actually want to get down with. Who knows though? I have no idea. I don't know what research and development really entails. I also don't understand what $2 billion even is, so that's where that's at. But there's still some corporate things to talk about, specifically with Sega, who has now kind of publicly denounced play-to-earn games and are scaling back their plans from blockchain-related games, which is actually a pretty interesting move considering you have other companies like Square Enix who have still just been doubling down into it. Sega seems to now realize that the future may not lie there, or at least it's not a thing that they want to approach. In a conversation with Bloomberg, Sega's co-chief officer, Shuji Utsumi, said, and I quote, "The action in play-to-earn games is boring. What's the point if games are no fun?" This and some other statements within just says that they're a little bit more skeptical and in terms of like integrating Web3 stuff into their games in the future. They've talked about like a super game that would like incorporate a huge budget and more tech. They don't know how that stuff is going to tie in. They're apparently still looking at all that. Sega is still allowing NFT stuff, like essentially their characters to be licensed to third parties. So they're keeping that open. But as of right now, it seems like they're stepping away from the play to earn model, which good, in my opinion. But of course, technology is like a rapidly developing thing. It's always moving. It's always changing. I'm starting to have trouble keeping up. So we're just going to have to wait and see where that all really ends up. My new fridge that I'm getting, it has like, it can have an actual RSS feed on it and it can give me gaming news. No, I just made that up. But you believed it.
I was very upset.
Hey, now, next up, you guys have been watching the show for a long time. You know that during some of the more complicated news stories, I always make a disclaimer that I am not smart. Well, I'm being self-deprecating. The reality is that I just know that there's always more to learn. We all want to be that person that learns something new every day, right? But that's hard. Thankfully, today's sponsor, Brilliant, can help with that. When you go to Brilliant.org, there are thousands of lessons, from foundational and advanced math to AI, data science, and more. And they add new lessons monthly. Brilliant's approach is hands-on. You learn practically, by doing. You're not just memorizing formulas or facts, you're actually being guided through processes step by step, just being shown how things work. So I'm gently learning programming with Brilliant from the most novice level, and Brilliant used these fun games and puzzles to explain to me how coding actually works. It's fun. You can learn and grow with just a few minutes each day. It's all tailored to you. And my gamer friends, they have XP and these leaderboards called leagues, so you can get hooked and have some actual fun. So check it out. Start your 30-day free trial today by clicking in the link down in the description or heading to brilliant.org/gameranx. And the first 200 people will get 20% off their annual subscription. That's pretty sweet. Knowledge is power. So big thanks to Brilliant for sponsoring this video. Next, some cool things we got a link in the description down below, just some trailers and updates for you. The first is The Boys are in Warzone, specifically Call of Duty Season 4 Reloaded, and it is Starfire, Black Noir, and of course, Homelander.
The
boys. Can we just talk about this? Like, this is cool. So there's a lot to it. Like, you're going to be able to get temporary compound V to use little superpowers with whatever character you're playing as. And the boys' characters have cool finishers and stuff like that. But them using guns and stuff, like, I feel like this was just a natural fit for Billy the Butcher and Mother's Milk, like, right? Like, I feel like they should be here too. Hey, beggars can't be choosers. I guess they had to pick like the flashiest characters. Who knows? I know everybody loves Homelander, but still, just #1 Carl Urban fan here. That's me. Bring back more Judge Dredd. Anyway, would definitely love to know if this is something you're going to be engaging in. If you're playing Call of Duty, definitely hit us up. I know like our audience doesn't always shift with a lot of people playing those types of games, but still, if you're playing, let me know. And of course, as always, there's going to be a pinned comment below this video where you can comment what games you're playing over the weekend for our research. So thanks. Oh, but this like came out of nowhere, but Oxenfree 2 is out. This is the like technically Netflix published sequel to Oxenfree, a game that a lot of people really love. So if you're looking for a story-based game, something you can really sink your teeth into, you have that to check out this weekend, among other things. Just wanted to highlight that because I feel like it kind of slipped under the radar. The first game, though, a lot of people really loved, so hopefully this one shakes out as well. Also, we finally got like a little bit more of a look at the new Hellboy game, like the one specifically around Mignola's art style, and it's being worked on with Dark Horse Comics, which is a good idea. This is Hellboy Web of Weird, and it's still kind of hard to get a read on how the gameplay exactly goes down, but we get to hear the voice actor of the main character, and it's Lance Reddick, the late great Lance Reddick, and it's a very interesting and kind of cool choice for the character. Now, of course, we got to talk about a couple of like remakes, re-releases, and stuff like that, because that seems to be not slowing down anytime soon. But the biggest one, the one I never saw coming, is that Gex is actually returning. Like, this isn't like a meme. I'm not being like funny or anything. But the Limited Run has announced Gex Trilogy, which is kind of like a re-release, kind of remaster of the original games. It's going to be in the Carbon engine, and it's going to be coming for all the major platforms, which Gex has some jokes in there that might not fly today.
Yeah.
What are they going to do? Oh, God. Still, that is coming at some point. They also announced a remaster of the original Clock Tower, which is very unexpected, but very inspired. And I like to see stuff like that. What a weird game. Oh, and then Capcom during investor calls were asked a bunch of questions about old franchises, and they kind of dodged a lot of stuff, but they at least acknowledged that they are looking into all of these things, and they are aware that they are sitting on some hot properties. Specifically, they acknowledged more Mega Man after like Mega Man 11 and that collection that they're releasing soon. More Onimusha, maybe at some point, which that's what I like to hear personally. But I would like just like a full new game set in that world. I don't need like any more like remasters or re-releases of them. And then, of course, Resident Evil. They did acknowledge, somebody asked about like a Code Veronica remake and if they would be interested in remaking the more spin-off games, and they said that they are at least discussing that. That's come up in the past before, but it's now official acknowledgement from them, so I just wanted to share that. If you want to read up on all that, it is linked down below. But what is kind of cool, a surprise game announcement this week. It's a full-fledged Black Panther video game set seemingly in the world of Wakanda. I know some people have thrown out open world, but you can't really get that from what they released in the press release. It says you're going to be able to explore a world, but we don't know if it's going to be an open world Black Panda. Black Panda? I got Panda Express on the brain. I'm starving. So we don't know if it's going to be open world, but whatever it is, it's seemingly going to be like a big thing with Marvel working specifically with Cliffhanger Games. This is a new AAA development studio based in Seattle, and we know this game is going to be a completely original thing, a third-person, single-player action-adventure game. This is specifically with some leadership and some talent formerly from Monolith, the people who worked on Shadow of Mordor, so that's pretty cool. With this announcement, it does seem like it's a ways away. It seems very much like an announcement of a new studio, and they're probably going to be staffing up and hiring. And these announcements are often made to attract good game developers to jump on the project and get hired. So it might be a while before we actually see anything, but yeah, there's that. And this is not to be confused with that other game that has been announced featuring like Captain America and Black Panther. That's a different thing. This is just a sole Black Panther project, and I'm excited to see what comes of it. Give him the cape. That's all I'm going to say. But that's the news we got this week. So let me know what you think in the comments about everything. Are you smarter than me? What do you have to say about the whole FTC Xbox thing? Do you have any insight? My friend is a lawyer. Shout out to Taylor. He texted me to be like, you don't know anything about what you're talking about. So there's that. Thanks, dude. But any of you, I'd love to hear your insights down there below. But of the new games announced, the remakes possibly teased, what are you most interested in? And of course, those fancy, flashy graphics. Is that something that you've been dabbling in? Are you a budding game developer? Are you like me? Or are you just watching these videos and being amazed and hoping they show up in more games? Let's talk about any of this stuff at all down in the comments. I'm still moving. Like I said, I'm like in between places right now, so it's a little chaotic, so I gotta run. But thank you guys for watching. We are here every Friday. I'm on Instagram at Jake Baldino, Twitter. I'm also trying one of the many fake Twitter apps with Threads. I'm on Threads if you want to follow me. I'm trying that one out actually for real, so that'll be linked down below. But like I said, thank you for being here. We got your back every Friday. Clicking the like button legitimately helps me. Thank you. But thank you for watching. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Pizza's on me.